one of the things the king could do, because his hands are tied to a certain extent, but he could seek to open this institution up, make it more transparent, eliminate much of the royal secrecy, in a bid, if you like, to set a good example to the rest of the political establishment around accountability, integrity, and transparency. The emphasis has overall been on continuity and stability. I think the king has also been very cautious in terms of doing things differently. He's very much cut from the same cloth as his mother, or at least we believe that is the case at the moment. And there have been some interesting changes. I think it's significant, for example, that in his message today, he used the word love to characterize the sense of emotion showed towards him and Queen Camilla by the public. There's a sense there of the intimacy that he wants to conjure, if you like, between him and his people. It's significant that Queen Elizabeth II never used that word love specifically to define the relationship between her and her people.
Is there a risk, Ed, that continuity will result in boredom with the monarchy, or with a certain feeling of indifference?
The great challenge is that if we go back 10 years in time to 2013, more than 72% of the under 25s supported the monarchy. They wanted it to stay, and they thought it would continue. Fast forward to 2023, and that number is more than halved, down to about 36% in the latest polls. Young people are not very interested in this institution, not like they once were. And I think events, certainly since 2019, have done much to destabilize and undermine the institution in the eyes of a younger generation. My fear, I think, for the monarchy is that if it doesn't find a way to connect with this younger generation, then the future picture could be quite bleak. We must not take for granted this idea that young people have always had a sense of dislike for the monarchy. That hasn't been the case. If we go back to the 1960s, the young really liked the British monarchy, and that was the age of course, teenage rebellion. So things are different today, and I think the gravity of the situation does call for some greater vision from our king as to what his reign is going to be about. One of the, if you like, one of the challenges of Elizabeth II's reign, and there were many successes that she had as a queen, but one of the things she did not address was the fact that a lot of secrecy built up around the British royal family and monarchy more generally, not only in terms of the way it interacts with government, but also in relation to its archive and the fact that very strict rules are applied to documents relating to the royal family, despite the monarchy being a public institution. And they have, for example, an exception from the Freedom of Information Act, which is quite unique within the British Constitution. One of the things the king could do, because his hands are tied to a certain extent, but he could seek to open this institution up, make it more transparent, eliminate much of the royal secrecy, in a bid, if you like, to set a good example to the rest of the political establishment around accountability, integrity, and transparency. Opening the institution up, showing the world how it works, making sure that there is no secretive dealings or any lobbying behind closed doors, as we know there has been historically. I think that's got to be a good thing. I think it sets a good example to the rest of the political establishment. The one thing that really does tarnish this institution, which does, if you like, see the magic of monarchy evaporate, is when they get caught in sort of family scandals, whether it's Andrew, whether it's Harry and Meghan, or whether it's sort of all the chatter around series like The Crown and how true to life that was. It's those kind of episodes that do much to undermine this institution. I think a move towards greater transparency. For example, we could also see this in terms of an opening up of the palaces to the public on a full-time basis. All of this kind of thing is really good, and I think would work to suggest to the younger generation, certainly, that this king is doing things differently.
That is fascinating, really fascinating. Well, I wonder if that will come. And just in terms of the tensions you mentioned there, you mentioned some of the key characters, I suppose, when it comes to tensions within the royal family. Can you put that in some sort of historic comparative perspective for us, Ed? has the royal family ever had to deal with such prolonged and agonizing tensions as we have witnessed ourselves in the last couple of years, and which are ongoing?
Yes, they have, on several occasions, going back 250 years. Whether it was the case of Queen Victoria's uncles misbehaving, whether it was the hubbub around Edward VII's various affairs, and then, of course, the abdication crisis involving Edward VIII in the middle of the 1930s. All of these events have, if you like, derailed the image of the family monarchy, this idea that they are sort of morally exemplary. I think the problem here in recent years has been that since 1997, the monarchy very deliberately decided that it was going to have one last go at elevating this idea that they were the ideal family. And of course, that fell to pieces in 2019, 2020, with the allegations regarding Prince Andrew. But then, of course, with Harry's departure and the various allegations and accusations that he's made about the family as well. So I wonder whether King Charles wants to piece together this idea of the family monarchy once again. I think it's something to be avoided because I think it comes with too great a risk.
Ed, it's really fascinating.
The monarchy faces an uphill battle in today's ever-changing world. As discussions around transparency and relevance swirl, King Charles has an opportunity to redefine what the institution stands for in the eyes of a modern audience. One possible approach is to make the monarchy more open and transparent. Historically shrouded in secrecy, the royal institution has operated behind closed doors, often exempt from public scrutiny. For instance, the British royal family is not subject to the Freedom of Information Act, a privilege unique within the British Constitution. King Charles could seek to dismantle this veil of secrecy, setting an example for accountability and integrity in public institutions. From opening royal archives to increasing public access to palaces, such steps could rejuvenate the monarchy's image, especially among younger generations. This shift toward transparency could also combat the erosion of public support among the youth. In 2013, over 70% of under 25s supported the monarchy. By 2023, this figure had plummeted to around 35%. Without a concerted effort to connect with younger audiences, the monarchy's future looks precarious. By demonstrating a willingness to change and modernize, King Charles could foster a renewed sense of relevance. However, the institution faces deeper challenges. Family scandals, be it the controversies surrounding Prince Andrew or the fallout from Harry and Meghan's departure, have tarnished the monarchy's reputation. Historical events like Edward VIII's abdication and Queen Victoria's uncle's indiscretions show that royal tensions are not new, yet they continue to damage the image of the monarchy as a model family. Since the late 1990s, the monarchy has worked hard to project itself as the ideal family, but cracks in that facade have grown wider. King Charles may need to move away from this idealized image altogether, and instead focus on portraying the monarchy as a symbol of service, tradition, and unity. Ultimately, the future of the monarchy lies in King Charles's ability to balance tradition with modernization. Transparency, relevance to younger generations, and a break from scandal are key factors. By redefining the monarchy for the modern era, King Charles could secure its place in the hearts and minds of the public for generations to come. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Stay tuned to Meghan and Harry Tales for more in-depth insights into the evolving dynamics of the royal family.